Hey, we're back. Episode number 304, Odd Musings. We are live unless you're watching us on a replay.
That's right.
Yeah, I know that joke gets old. So, how's it going, Scott? Hey, I got to see Scott yesterday in real life. So, just so y'all know, this is not a fake Scott that's been broadcasting. It is a real Scott.
No beauty filters here, people. I know it's hard to believe.
Yeah. And Scott had some news this past week. You became for the third time.
Let me pull that up. Yes. Granddaughter Catherine was born. Let's see if I can find the photos I posted here really quick. Actually, I'll do the little video. It's amazing. First of all, she was born 3 weeks early. So you forget how small they are. But especially 3 weeks early, then they're even more. I gotta stop sharing that screen share. Facebook. Here we go. So this is me holding Catherine here.
Mm-hmm.
So they're tiny. She was 4 pounds 15 ounces. So this is Ashley's third daughter. So all is well, though. They chose to deliver early because of in the ultrasounds the last couple weeks, the growth was slowing down, and usually it's the fastest time of growth. So between that and then I guess in the umbilical cord, the main artery in the umbilical cord was like really large, which could lead to blood clots or something later in the pregnancy. So between those two issues, they made the decision to deliver at 3 weeks early, but she came out great. So all is good there.
No good.
Yeah, it's always nice to see. And then, seeing the reaction of her sisters was funny too. Here she is. Can you see it? Yep. Let me hit play.
I want to introduce everyone to Catherine here.
Turn off the sound. But I was surprised how much she was opening her eyes and moving her head around and stuff. So there she is there. At like their fingers and hands just so tiny. So
yeah, look at that hair though. She got hair, that's for sure.
Oh yeah. Yep. And shortly after this video, I was able. They have these little bottles like this big that I fed her with. So that was really nice. So welcome to the world, Catherine.
Yeah, very cool.
Of course, I told Ashley now the rest of her life she'll have to be like Catherine with a K or Catherine with a C.
Well, unless they decide to call her Kate.
They're going with Kit Kat right now because it's with a K.
Well, alrighty then.
They're calling her Kit Kat for short. Don't know if that'll stick or not, but that's what they've been calling her around the house.
She'll be like 6. She'll go, Mom, I am not Kit Kat. I am Snickers.
I am Snickers. Right?
Yeah. Very cool. Well, hey, we got a fun show here today, but let's get some business out of the way as always. We got to knock out. So we'll start with Loringer Family Chiropractic Center, PC, located in Belleville, Michigan and Dexter, Michigan. They take great pride in providing the finest chiropractic care to each and every patient, offering on-site digital x-rays, massage therapy, orthotics, foot levelers, young limb essential oils, aromatherapy, full line of vitamins, all in a family-oriented environment. Give a call, 734-697-4244. LoringerFamilyChiropractic.com is their website. You can also visit them on Facebook, as you can see here. Just put in the search bar, Loringer Family Chiropractic Center, PC. There you can get the phone number again, 734-697-4244. I'll be seeing Dr. Anna this afternoon. They had a power outage last week, but they were still open. They just couldn't take any phone calls, and they were able to use some of the manual beds they have. They couldn't use the power beds, but it was definitely a little rough there. Part of it was they were doing some work there at what they call 5 Points, and they shut down as a brownout some of the power in that area for some reason. So I think it's because they were bringing in some illegal substances on the outside. So not chiropractor, but the city.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
What is going on over
Yeah.
there?
Well, they were supposed to be bringing in all that toxic waste from Ohio to Van Buren Township, which look at near
Oh,
Belleville. So
yes.
I think
Yes.
that was a secret conspiracy by the government.
Could have been.
Unsubstantiated. But
sure.
Large Family Couch, been with them forever. They've been a great sponsor of ours. We really appreciate them. And I'll be seeing her this afternoon, which I'm definitely looking forward to because this crappy cold rain weather we've had the last several days has really messed up some of my joints. And I'm looking to get back into alignment again.
Yeah, that weather change up and down will do that to you.
Yep.
For sure. And we also have Team Titans Real Estate. Why? Because you matter. That's right. Even though we utilize the latest in tools and technology to maximize your home buying and selling experience, we never forget at SCORE, it's a people business. That's right. That's why Jill and I, we take care to get to know you as a person and your special needs. Not everything is a cookie cutter approach. It's still a good market as far as, there's a lot of weird up and down indicators depending who you talk to, and nobody has a crystal ball. But one thing's for sure, inventory levels are just insanely low, and low supply equals high demand, or high prices in face of demand, because our inventory levels are so much lower than the current demand and just can't keep up. Now, what's happening in those houses? I don't know. Makes no sense to me. You want to get into conspiracy theories and stuff? I'll be glad to.
Well, I can tell you this on my aspect from an outside viewer is what's going on. Definitely hearing a lot about, people are looking for houses, can't find them. But it's also people are being priced out of the market now that prices have gotten higher again on some of these area houses, and I can afford this. So here's what I've been seeing, and this is happening right where I live at in the manufactured home community. They have had empty lots for literally a decade or more on a lot around this park here, because after the housing crisis around 2006, 2008 through there, people actually were able to get houses cheap because of foreclosures, and people that had homes in these manufactured homes actually were letting them go back to the bank. I know of about 6 in this park alone of people I talked to that did that. So they got their home, got into the new home, and just stopped paying on the other house and let it go back to the bank. Call the bank, hey, we don't want it, come get it. And some stayed in the park here. Some the companies yanked them out. So we ended up with empty lots here. This past couple weeks, and they're doing it right next door to me here, is they are now refixing those lots. They're going to start slotting in manufactured homes, and people are looking at manufactured homes again because they can afford that versus an actual self-standing home.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of changes definitely going on in the whole market.
Well, what doesn't make sense is the lack of homes. Our population in Michigan isn't booming. It was staying kind of the same. It didn't go up much when they did the last census. So where are the homes going?
Well, I think people aren't selling them as much, partly because they're holding on to them for investment reasons. I think it's also just there are people that are constantly moving in and out. So it may not be population change, but I know people are leaving and coming in. Yeah. But all the homes I've seen built in Ann Arbor, the duplexes, the single homes, the condos, just in the last couple of years, it all popped up, are all sold out. So part of it too is we've seen also people that were living like me. I live with my mom, but people that were living with their parents longer are now buying homes. So now it's not that the population has increased. We're now seeing people that are going from living with mom and dad to finally buying their own homes or places after saving up and getting them into their late 30s, early 20s, early 30s. So I think that's a big change as well, because people have been home, and then COVID changed a lot of that, because a lot of people that were thinking about buying then didn't. Some actually went out right after COVID really allowed them to do that and started buying homes. But it was a lot of people waiting for that special place or where they're going to end up with their jobs. And now we're starting to see that kind of settle in. And I think that's why there's just not enough homes, because the job market settled. People are moving out of their parents' homes or those they share with other people. And so now it's split that. Plus, it seems like every time I turn around, someone's getting divorced. So there, right there is not a population increase, but a separation of households. So that's my theory.
I think it's China's buying up stuff before it gets to the market.
Well, there's that too. You've talked about that before.
I personally know of deals where Chinese families have bought the houses, never came out to see the house. They live out of state, supposedly. And those houses are empty after they close. They never get moved into. Weird.
Well, I've heard that within the city of Detroit, but outside of the city,
But
it's a little different. So,
but we're in a fake economy, is what the real answer is. We got. I know from insider sources, a lot of houses that have $500,000 mortgages are being subsidized, are being loan modifications are being done where people are paying $500-$600 a month on a $500,000 mortgage because the banks have so many people behind right now. They're just desperately fighting a foreclosure. We're on the verge of another bubble. Is the real answer. And then
oh no, I fully expect that. Yeah,
and then with Biden passing the new thing where if you are smart and have good credit, you get to pay extra on your mortgage so we can get high risk investors, home buyers into the market. So we're gonna increase the supply of low mortgage home buyers, where that's the part of the market that is overloaded right now. So we're going to create an artificial demand on top of high demand already to further cause inflation of prices, to further push low-end housing prices outside of the realm of possibility to first-time home buyers. And that's the truth of what's happening. They're destroying it. And not to get political, but the last thing I'll say is all you had to do was watch the town hall meetings when Biden was running. He promised they want to get rid of single family housing. They want to force everyone into multi-family housing. So all that to say, if you do want single family housing, get it now, because prices are just going to keep going up because they are artificially pumping it up to get it to so you can't afford it. And they want to force us into multi-family housing. So if you want your own house, do it now, because soon you won't be allowed to. So that's my friendly advice.
Unless some things change in the next couple of years with who's in charge.
Well, yeah, but that would only happen if we had elections. We don't have those anymore.
Yeah. So, well, out of the political realm, we'll get into some other fun topics here.
Fun topics.
Did I talk about this a few weeks ago? I can't remember. I got this a few weeks back.
What is that? Video game?
It's no. It's a movie. It's a Blu-ray. It's from the 80s called Megaforce. Have you ever seen Megaforce?
I have not seen Megaforce.
Let's see if I can find a trailer here. This came out. It is ultra cheesy, and really it was supposed to be more than what it was, but it became a very cheesy. It's done by Hal Needham. Hal Needham was originally a stuntman who ended up doing movies. He's known for The Smokey and the Bandit, Hooper, things like that. He worked with Burt Reynolds a lot. Barry Bostwick stars in this, and that's the bearded guy. So that's the bearded guy. There is Barry Bostwick, and you see him going, "That looks like a tough Chuck Norris guy." And you see him in the movie, and it starts to kind of looks tough, but then of course when he talks, it's Barry Bostwick. So,
Barry Bostwick, was he the football player?
No, it's just an actor from
Barry Bostwick,
Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Oh, got it. Okay, I know who you're talking about now.
Yeah. And we've seen him at at conventions all the time. And what's funny is at conventions, because of him wearing the whitey tighties in the Rocky Horror Picture Show, he sells where he signs underwear.
Okay, I'm looking up pictures here. I am recognizing some of these screenshots. I don't remember seeing it myself, but
I remember seeing it, and I'm glad I bought it because I love these 80s cheesy movies.
Kind of reminds me of when we talked about Ice Pirates.
Yes, exactly. So here's the trailer.
Right.
It's almost like Team America, or what was that called? Then with the puppets.
Yeah, that was like 30 years later. I think Team America based some stuff on this.
Special effects look the same.
Yeah. Oh, it was all done with miniatures. It was hilarious.
In the future, dun 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 dun, there is still justice. I love how the future cars are always like some dune buggy with armor.
Yeah, and that's the Megaforce right there.
Oh, that's them?
Yeah, those are the bad guys with the tanks.
So the dune buggies are going to take on the tanks. Whoa. They're hitting the plane with rockets, and the plane is still going.
The laser.
Oh. With a trailer like that, how can you turn it
know.
down?
Tell everything
There he
about
is.
the soldier by looking at his chest.
What? Love the outfits.
Yeah.
Wow. That looks like the scene from Last Jedi, or
Yeah.
when they're
Yeah,
going through.
That's why I think he took this scene from Last Jedi from was that.
Oh my God!
Don't you love the feathered hair?
Hologram. No,
Oh.
real. That long.
Like
Yeah.
it doesn't even make sense. The combination of the
Dang near.
suits that
Yeah.
he's wearing with
And
the
his kids
cowboy.
yeah, and lands the bike on the plane.
I love you. But you're hopeless.
Isn't he in a Clint Eastwood movie? That one?
Oh
That
yeah,
guy?
yeah. Oh yeah. So
That's awesome.
it is
Mega
yeah,
full
definitely
force.
just a great cheesy movie. And it's hilarious when you watch it. There's actually a pretty cool sequence. They have special features, and there was one that's kind of cool. It talks. I forget the. I'm trying to think of. I didn't bring my glasses back with me.
Let's see. It says it's 1982.
Yeah. Oh no, it came out a long time ago. But there's a special feature on the making of the film, and it talks about this process they use, which they use to a lot of movies. And it was basically using miniature sets, but then having the people walk, and they had it's like doing that is
The force perspective.
yeah, and everything else with these sets, and they use it in a ton of movies. And they had done it in this, and they talked about it. And it was a company that was in, and this was prior to all the CGI stuff, so it was stuff to make it look like bigger sets than what they really had on a low budget. So it kind of give them close. And it was a neat to see that filmmaking, which it literally they use it to like Terminator and things like that. But it was neat to see that. But the movie is definitely downright cheesy. The dialogue's bad. The outfits are hilarious and everything else. The main female though was she was in Star Trek: The Motion Picture. She was the bald-headed one.
Oh, that's her.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. What it does though, this goes back to the same conversation we had about Ice Pirates. Is this came out in 1982? Empire Strikes Back came out in 1980, and so it was filmed in 78 and 79, I believe, which really shows you just how well done the special effects in Star Wars were. Now, granted, you got to go back and watch the original to see the true 1980 release, because with the special edition they fixed some stuff up, but still it was amazing. The when you look at movies that came out within like 5 to 8 years after, it still was better than anything that came out. So but that's so cool.
Yeah, the process they were talking about was called, I had to look it up, it was called Introvision. It was a front projection process. Allowed them to do finished composite live action and plate photography through the camera's viewfinder on set and in real time.
Which is kind of where we're back at now with like shows like The Mandalorian we're going to talk about, but they got it with a giant screen behind them.
Right.
But it's kind of like we've gone back to the old ways in a way, just in a
and some of the notable titles of this, and like I said, you see like Megaforce, which originally was supposed to be a bigger budgeted film, but it really got cut. But I mean, they did some things like, Oh God, You Devil, Stand By Me used it a lot, Rambo 3, Driving Miss Daisy, Army of Darkness, Darkman, Under Siege, Fugitive. They all use it, and some of those were some big time movies, at the time. So it was as someone who loves filmmaking, that was something I liked about it. But yeah, the whole bit. I mean, I'm watching this thing going, oh my God, it was even cheesier than I thought. I enjoyed it because it was cheesiness. I mean, it's such a basic story, but it's one of those things where, like Ice Pirates, I love Ice Pirates too because I love that cheesiness of the 80s.
But what was with the 80s where everything in the future, everyone had headbands?
Yeah. Well, that came from, think about it. Late 70s, early 80s with the headbands. Yeah. You had Olivia Newton-John
Let's
You
get
had
physical.
Jane Fonda doing her bit, and they
Yep.
were all wearing the headbands with the workout
Everything,
stuff. Look
everything was
at
headbands.
John Travolta in Staying Alive, the sequel to Saturday Night
Yep.
Fever. He's wearing a headband when he's in the dancing.
Yep.
It was the style.
Just like in action films, every bad guy had to have an Uzi.
Yep.
Every bad guy.
Uzis and Mac 10s were everything they had through the 80s.
Yeah.
And then of course, Rocky Rambo had to have, the field knife. It had everything within it, so that became like a big deal. So all that stuff. But yeah, so I added this to my recently to my cheesy 80s collection of movies I love to watch, and
that's awesome.
And it's one of the ones I'll be sitting there going, I want to watch something just stupid. I'll watch that, and then there's some I really like that are really not, that are still kind of cheesy and not as good as like Krull. Krull's another one from the 80s, a great science fiction film that's fun. That isn't great sci-fi, but it's still fun sci-fi in some ways.
When
80s cheesy.
When Krull came out, I loved it, but watching it now, I don't like it as much.
Oh no, you got it. Now it's a nostalgia factor of what you remember liking about it as a kid. But of course, I loved it too because I love the weapon he had, which is the little 5-finger blade thing.
The glade.
The glade, yeah.
So. But it's interesting, and this will be a good segue, I think, of how some movies over time get worse when you go back and watch them, and others get better. And you watched one recently.
Well, yeah, I started
Bond series.
I was telling Scott I was playing before I got online. I was playing on my Xbox. They put on the Game Pass the 90s old that used to be on Nintendo. They've now got it on Pass because the company that owns it, Rare, is part of Microsoft now. So they ported it over, and it's the original game. They kind of upscaled a little bit to make it clear, but it's not any change in graphics, so it's still the same exact game. So I went through it over the last few weeks. I don't play as much as I'd like to, but when I want to sit down and just do nothing, I'll put it on because it's just a first-person shooter, and it's. So I got through it, and I was the other week and yesterday. Scotty come down yesterday, brought some comics. I got Shadow 4 I'll have at Indiana Comic Con, but it was. I was sitting there. I was like, I want to watch something, but didn't really care if I happened to like nod off or something because I was a little tired, and so I put on GoldenEye, and I hadn't watched in a long time. I was like, oh yeah, okay, here's this, and things are a little out of sequence from I remember the game versus the movie, but the gameplay kind of goes through, fun. You enjoy that and how the storytelling is, and then watching the movie, go, oh yeah, they did for the 90s and what they had. I think they did a decent job of encapsulating what the movie was into the game. And definitely and I always like Pierce. I was telling Scott, I like Pierce Brosnan, and Scott said what you said something about him being wrong time
for Pierce Brosnan.
Yeah.
For Pierce, he was awesome. I liked him. I just feel like had they brought him in, like they wanted to bring him in earlier, but his contract with Remington Steel prevented it.
Correct.
But at that time, it would have been perfect. I just feel like the audience's taste had moved on to a new style of Bond was desired when they brought him in. I think 10 years earlier, he would have become the best Bond ever if he came in 10 years earlier.
Yeah, I mean, it would have been close to that because it was 88, I believe, when they did the Living Daylights. Here. You had Timothy Dalton, who I like Timothy Dalton. Yeah, it was 87 was when Living Daylights came out, and they had Remington Steel, and then they tried to get Pierce for that, like around 80, 85, 86. And they had a hard contract on him, and they wouldn't let him out of it.
Right.
And I was always talking about that. The thing with Timothy Dalton, it was like, people were like, he did a couple films. People were like, they were just okay. I've gone back and rewatched them in the last couple of years. I actually like him better now than then.
Yeah, that's interesting. Here, I'm going to put this up on the screen just so people can get an idea of what the GoldenEye game is like.
Yeah.
But this was it, and at the time, this was high-end graphics back then.
Yeah,
and it was.
They did the face mapping all on the square faces and that. So,
yeah, which, very similar. There was which was it? Dark Empire, one of the Star Wars games. It was very similar to this in the feel of how you would go through, and and at the time there was nothing like this. We were like amazed. Kids now don't understand what they have when they play these games.
A few years earlier, they had Escape from Castle Wolfenstein, which is one of the very first person shooters, and so it kind of played off of that aspect of that.
Who was the first? Was it Doom or
is either Doom or let me see here. I think it might have been.
I think Doom was the first like real big one.
Yes.
Was it called Doom? Or am I getting that
Yeah.
wrong?
No, you got Doom right. So, Escape
Okay.
from Castle Wolfenstein originally came out, or Return to Castle Wolfenstein. That's 2001. No, there was one before that. It was like around there we go. Oh yeah, the original Castle Wolfenstein wasn't first person. It was done on the Commodore 64 back in the early 80s.
Oh, okay.
And then it
Yeah.
was like, I know sometime in the early 90s, 84, they did a sequel Beyond. Here we go. Wolfenstein 3D came out in 1992. It was for DOS. And that one was amazing because it was the first time you were actually like this in this first person feel of you're actually, what you see is where you're at and not
Yeah.
just seeing a guy somewhere, which kind of changed the landscape of games. And then Doom came out, and Doom they still release games on that one all the time.
Like I remember too, like if you really go far back for first person, it was like still screenshots where like what was that? It was like D&D, but it was one of the first.
Well, Doom was 1993, so.
But where like it was just like a screenshot. It was like you would walk down the hallway and it would be a new image that would come up of the next section. So they were just still shots. Like I remember doing that, and they were like just 2-color type designs and stuff.
Oh yeah, probably some old like Commodore 64 type games.
What was that game I used to love? It was like one of the first like D&D type games, but it wasn't D&D. What do they call those? Role play?
Yeah, role playing games, RPGs. Yeah,
original RPG video game. I'm blanking on the name. I just absolutely loved it too. What was it?
It wasn't King's Quest, was it?
No.
That was an early game, but that was done a little differently. It wasn't for sure. Well, it might have been. I mean, it's.
I'll find it here. I got the list of games, but it was a huge game at the time, and I don't know whatever happened with them. I don't know.
I'm not sure which one it was in the 80s. Because the games I played RPG wise, I played like King's Quest. The Ultima series was a fun series on that one.
Ultima might be what I'm thinking of.
But I don't remember them doing any like first. You had like a map, and you could see the map. It was never any like first person looking.
Yeah.
So,
anyways, but it was just cool back then. It was the Pool of Radiance. I forgot about that one. Yeah, all these are really cool. Anyways, but to get back on topic, so what I find interesting is like Timothy Dalton, for instance. Like, I feel like he's become like at the time people hated him as James Bond, but now I think he's viewed much better as James Bond. So is it?
Yeah, I think what changed,
the audience has changed to that style, or
well, what I think was you got to think back at the time it was put out in the news, stuff like that, which of course didn't have the internet, but it was like, yeah, they wanted Pierce Brosnan, and as Remington Steele, he essentially was epitome of James Bond in that show.
Right.
Feel like, yeah, that's what we want. He looks like James Bond we want. He's gonna do this. Timothy Dalton comes along, and Timothy Dalton was known for other movies. He had done, he was in Flash Gordon. I'm trying to think what else he did prior to that. I'm gonna pull up some stuff here.
Wasn't he in Excalibur? Was he in?
That's what I was looking at here. He did Flash. Look at what he did in the 80s, and so here we go. Because he did, and I think he's gotten more now for the stuff he's done here. So let me see here. Go back. I hate the way they change IMDb to look, but
yeah.
So now he'd been acting for a long time. So he had started acting, of course, over in Europe and England and that, and had done a bunch of stuff through the 70s. And then crossed over. He did some stuff over here like Charlie's Angels. Then of course Flash Gordon got him known a little bit more, so he started doing more stuff there.
It looks like Flash Gordon was his big break.
Yep, and he did a bunch of TV movies through the 80s, and then his real big break really was after that was The Living Daylights, which is James Bond.
Yeah.
Now, of course, the thing with that was everybody wanted Pierce Brosnan, so of course people like that. Oh, this isn't good. He's Roger Moore was better. He was a previous Bond, and we know that Pierce Brosnan would have been better. That was kind of the take on that. So he did a couple movies. So he did. How many did he do?
Well, let's not forget he was Mr. Pricklepants in Toy Story.
Yeah, I was getting that. But I was talking about Bond, but he did Living Daylights, he did License to Kill. And going back watching those, they're actually much better movies. And really what I think it showcased him as going on was he's a really good villain. Showcased like in The Rocketeer.
Right.
You know, that's he was great as a villain in that, and then he pops a bunch of different stuff here. He does tries to do comedy with the Beautician and the Beast movie, you know, things like that. So he's been around for a long time and did different things. I, you know, really got, you know, liked him from that, but he did like got back into comedy doing Hot Fuzz, you know, again playing a bad guy. I think he's much better as a bad guy than the
Mhm.
hero, and that was seen really evident in the year he was on Chuck,
Yeah.
and he played the deep undercover agent who ended up, you know, they had a complete different personality. It took over. They had implanted through the intersect, and that really showed how he could act as, you know, the suave, debonair bad guy, kind of a la
Mhm.
Bond. In that he would have been a really great Bond villain in the late '80s, early '90s.
Yeah.
If he had never played Bond, he could have been a really good like Blofeld or something like that.
Well, that's where I wonder if the taste of the audience now, because we like, as a general rule, people like to have more complexity to their characters, and like the anti-hero is kind of more popular now. So I wonder if that's why people are liking him more now, because he does play a good villain. So him as a,
Well,
I don't know.
I think
don't
it
know
was
what it is.
not even not liking him back then. I think it was more of just not liking him as James Bond.
Yeah.
And people just said, oh, you know, they did well. I mean, they always do well. The Bond movies do, but
Yeah.
yeah, here we go. Great villain in Yellowstone. I think that's really where he came into his own, is playing
Yeah.
that kind of villains, and that's where I think people like him better now. And I think it really all started with The Rocketeer.
There
You
you
know, he
go.
played Neville Sinclair in Rocketeer. It was supposed to be a play on, I said his name earlier. Now I blanked on his Errol Flynn, which Errol Flynn was accused of being a Nazi sympathizer, and he wasn't. He actually aborted the Nazis and didn't like and that. But that was all rumors that were put out by publicists that were trying to undermine him as an actor, because he was also a guy that's hard to work with on set. But it was that they were in that vein supposed to be the great action hero. That's why we see him do the swashbuckling stuff in Rocketeer. And then, of course, everything's trying to do to help the Nazis get the rocket.
Right.
So, but I think he's much better as a villain than the hero, and he plays it very well. And I think he definitely is a good actor. But going back watching the Bond films, he did a good job. I think it's something that if you haven't seen him in a long time, go back and revisit them. I believe they're all up on Amazon Prime or maybe HBO Max, one of those right now. So definitely check that out. But yeah, it's kind of how I got much GoldenEye again. And to be honest with you, GoldenEye was fine as a movie. I believe that was that Pierce's first one.
I think that was his first, I thought.
Yeah, and then I had watched the Tomorrow one just the other week. Happened to be on when I got home from work, so I left it on, and that one's got Michelle Yeoh in it, and that was fine too. The last couple of Pierce's, I think, were better storytelling, but again, it was always, you know, he was good. Enjoyed his movies when they initially came out. I think he was a great Bond, but it was definitely, like you said, 10 years later. If he'd done 10 years earlier, he would have been more compared to Connery in the quality of work, I think, if he'd done that. So
yeah,
but
no, very good.
Yeah.
Before we get to our main topic, I thought we got our good friend Sean Forney. His Scarlet Huntress rewards have been shipping out. I just got mine.
Yeah.
I thought I would unbox it here for everyone to see.
See, this is what cracks me up is as we all get these at different times. They sometimes ship out different, but I was mentioning to Scott, I just gotten a Kickstarter reward from Terrell, another local Michigan artist who did a fan film I supported. And he shipped it out from where Scott lives up there in his area towards Madison Heights, Sterling Heights, all that. And they actually shipped it. For some reason, my stuff keeps getting shipped from Michigan to other states just to come back to Michigan.
Yeah, I don't understand what the post office does there or how that works.
It went all the way to Pittsburgh to come all the way back here. I'm like, I could have drove the hour and picked it up.
So here we got. So Sean's Kickstarter did very, very well, and a lot of the bonus incentives there got unlocked. Stretch goals, a lot of the stretch goals. So there's like this bag of just a ton of stuff in here. Let me open that up real quick. So you got some stickers of his werewolf there, and got a little card. There's all kinds of goodies in here. Is that a temporary tattoo? I'm not sure what that is. Sticker, another sticker. So there's all kinds of stuff here. Coaster, a koozie. I even got a koozie.
There you go.
lanyard. Oh, this is sharp. I'll have to wear this for Motor City Comic Con.
Oh, that's very cool.
That's
We should do
sharp.
We need to find out. We should do that for Bardstone.
Yeah, this looks really sharp. And look at that. He even got his signature there
I
printed
like
onto
that.
it.
I needed a new lanyard.
This is really sharp, actually. So when you're a vendor for Comic Cons, you love lanyards because we got to wear those all weekend and
Because
stuff.
we got to have our stinking badges.
And then looks like a glow in the dark sticker there.
Yeah, I
So-
remember that was one of the stretch goals. Yeah.
And then a bottle opener with a flashlight, I think.
So you can see
think
your
that's a
beer as you're looking for it.
Yeah. Not sure how that works. So
Probably got to take a little tab out or something.
yeah. So anyways, but there's a little bottle opener with the
Nice.
logo from there and a pen. As a realtor, realtors love pens. All right, now we're going to get into the main comic book. They ship it in the Gemini packaging that we also use, which we stole from them. We didn't steal it from them, but
Everybody uses it. I just
we
got
were- we
Jacob
do it
Bear's
by
Bat
them.
Bear.
and then there's the book, and it came in pristine condition because the
Nice.
packaging protected it. But I'm looking forward to cracking this baby open and reading it.
Yeah.
So good stuff, and they got some promotional stuff.
Yeah, and I love those
Oh,
packaging.
sure.
Like I said, Jacob from Jacob Bear did his Bat Bear Kickstarter. I just got that the other day, and same packaging. Every
Yeah.
time I get a Kickstarter in that packaging, it's always protected.
Always.
Gemini is great.
Yeah.
In fact, I use their boxes. Do I have one here? Yes. Yes, we have one. This one has traveled now in my suitcase about a half dozen times or more.
Yeah,
And-
flights and
Yep, and it still holds up.
I just bought those to start transporting mine as well.
Yep.
Because it does such a good job of protecting everything. So yeah, so check it out. Follow Sean Forney, SEAN is his first name, FORNEY. I'm sure they have another Kickstarter on the way. They always do. They keep very busy like we do, and they put out good quality products. Sean has done some of our exclusive covers, so we can't say enough great things about him. So check him out.
So good stuff.
Good stuff. Always, I feel like a little kid again. When you get the package in the mail, it's like, ooh, something to open.
And sometimes I forget. It's it's just
Yeah.
almost like, oh, I forgot I did this, and so it's like Christmas now. You got a big surprise, and then there's one though I'm expecting. One I've been waiting on 9 years. They messaged a couple months ago saying that they finally were getting printed to send out, and I'm still waiting on it. But it's supposed to come out sometime this next few months. So once I get it, then I will reveal who they are and how it looks and everything else. And I'll do a little review of it.
I wonder
But,
if it's the same one I'm waiting. Actually, I think mine is longer than 9 years. Let's
Yeah.
look. The mayonnaise and bread. Does that sound familiar?
That's not it. No. That's not
Okay. Yeah, it was like 2010. I think it's 13 years. It's like, dude, you don't have the money anymore. You spent it. Don't stop pretending.
I mean,
Like,
I've got
once
a
every
few.
2 years.
Yeah, there's a few I've done over the years that nothing happened to. Unfortunately, one was for an actress, and she passed away so recently.
Oh.
But she had never finished the movie from 10 years ago. But it was just one of those things too. It's like, okay, some of these I'm now a little more cautious on who I support on this stuff here, but I've done a few recently. A couple I'm looking forward to is that Frankenstein Dracula double graphic
Yes.
novel, and then I did the it's gonna be ending soon on the 27th. Did you see the Gold Key comics with Boris Karloff?
Yes.
And that one also has the permission of the family of Boris Karloff. So I'm like, I supported that one too. So there's a couple of things on that. But it's there's some that take a little bit longer because we as Bardstone like to have our stuff pretty much almost done before we start the Kickstarter, so that way we can get to you quicker than sooner. A lot of people, unfortunately, with comics like to wait until they get funded to actually start.
Yeah.
So
Here,
things like
I'll
that.
show. I'm going to call some people out. I don't care. So these are because you take people's money, you need to follow through. So here's some of the here's ones I've backed. Most of the people have followed through really good. You'll see multiple times. So we got some that are due, which they're fine because they weren't supposed to come yet.
Yeah.
But most of the stuff on time and great, which is good. In Kickstarter, you can mark when you receive it and if you're happy or not. But so this one I'm still waiting on. This was supposed to be shipped January of 2022, and it's still not out. Now they keep having excuses and stuff, but I'm sorry, but that's completely uncalled for. You know, if you're not that close to if you're now a year and a half late, you were nowhere close to being done, and you shouldn't have launched this Kickstarter.
Right.
You know, then everybody else, I got. Everyone's good. But this one, Dreadlock. Sorry, mayonnaise and bread. I'm calling you out. Once every 2 years, he sends out some kind of lame update. How he's still working on it. It was due July of 2013.
Yeah.
So 10 years later, it's still not done. So stop it. Just stop. Just admit you stole it. You know, you're not doing anything.
Right.
And it's a joke. But for us, we're at least 80% done when we launch our Kickstarter. Even like the last one, I was a little less done. I was probably more like 70%, maybe 65% when I did it. But we budgeted enough time in the prediction because the timing, when I thought we would normally launch, it would have fallen like right at Christmas. And I didn't want to do that. So I launched it a little earlier than I wanted. We still shipped. Everyone got their stuff a month to 2 months early. So we were still on time. And you got to know your stuff. You know, it's okay if you're late. Late happens.
Yeah.
Thankfully, I don't think we've been late on a single one. And we're at like 13 in.
Yeah. I've got one from last year. Supposed to have been out. It said estimated delivery was February 2022.
Yeah.
And the last update that just came through was March of this year. And they finally just got the whole thing inked.
Yeah.
And coloring will be finished, they said, in 2 weeks. Digital books will go soon. Haven't heard anything since. Of course, it's been a month. They're working with the printer to get everything sorted and sent to the printer in a month. So again, it's stuff like this. It's like, okay, don't promise something that it's like for ours, like I said, we had our stuff all shipped out and delivered early.
Yeah. And there's a process, and a big part of the process, a lot of people underestimate how long it takes to put a book together. And so look at the history of the person you're backing. If this is their first Kickstarter, it's very easy to think, oh, I just have to draw 30 pages. I'll have that done in 2 months. And then you quickly realize, well, yeah, if you worked full time on it, but a lot of artists have other jobs or are doing other things or taking commissions or whatever. And all of a sudden that 2 months they thought could easily take 6 months. And then it's like, oh, now I have to prep it for publishing, and that could take another month. And then, there's a lot of things in the process. So always, it's buyer beware with crowdfunding. Look at the history. We have an extensive history with ours, and we're on time. We've funded all of them. We've been on time with all of them. So I might be doing a very fast, short one. I told Brett I have a preview book coming out. I just got notified by Ready. They're already shipping it. I'm going to have it for Motor City Comic Con. But I'm thinking I might just do a quick down and dirty Kickstarter just to give our regulars a chance, because this is a severely limited comic print of only 100 issues. So I think I'm going to just throw on a down and dirty one where you can buy it either on its own or as packages. I'm not going to have 20 different reward tiers or anything like that. So I might just throw that up for about 2 weeks. To give our hardcore fans a chance.
And Kevin said first wave of Creatures and Creators packages will ship out this week. That
was right.
His Kickstarter too.
That's right.
And
we run a tight ship here at Bardstone.
Well, and I think that's the thing in there. We've gotten into this. We talked about this before, but definitely we like to make sure it's on time. And that's the main thing I tell people when they want to do a Kickstarter. I'm like, well, you need to get stuff done. Well, I need the money. Well, then, don't play games. If it's going to take you 2 years to get it out, say it's going to take me 2 years, but I need the money now, but you're not going to get the
Yeah.
funding. You think
And just know as a backer, it's a higher risk. You might
Yeah.
not get anything if it's a 2-year process.
Especially if you got, looking at these higher rewards, some of these offer like $50, $100, $150. It's like, I'm not going to see that come back. I can understand a few months. I can understand 5-6 months sometimes, just because of like we delayed our shipping because of the holidays for Crimson Shadows 4. But we let people know, yeah, we're doing it now, and then everything we've done over the holidays, and then we'll ship it out, and we still shipped it out a month ahead of time.
Oh yeah, yep. And we still were ahead of schedule and got it done.
Yeah.
So we take it serious. The trust people put in us, but unfortunately, a lot of artists are not accountants, and they don't take into account the cost of running the Kickstarter, the cost of shipping, the cost of creating all the additional rewards. And I've seen it where even with getting fully funded, they've run out of money before they even got to the finish line.
Yep.
So, anyways, not to toot our own horn, but beep, beep.
Well, we got a little bit
Let's
left
get
time.
on to the main topic.
Yeah, so we haven't talked Mandalorian in 3 weeks. So the last 3 episodes, we're going to kind of just condense it all into one talk. But I did figure out who the spy was.
Yes, I saw that.
There's your spy. So
there is a clue as to who the spy is. Now, why is everyone talking about the spy? Well, the second to last episode was actually titled The Spy. Dun, dun, dun. But nothing seemed to have been revealed. Right. But someone pointed out, like the weirdest thing was when they showed that schematic of the Mandalorian and Baby Yoda going through the ship, and Baby Yoda was marked with a green dot. Mm-hmm. How did they know what to mark Baby Yoda as? And then someone pointed out that the armorer made that piece of armor for Baby Yoda with all the circuitry in it, which Mando armor has, but she could have easily put a tracker on him.
Right.
So who knows?
Well, and that's the thing is I saw something this morning about they said, cheers to all of us that didn't think the armorer was a spy. I just don't think they've revealed who the spy is because it's going to be ongoing in the next arc of the Mandalorian.
Yeah.
I also think that we talked about this yesterday, Scott and I did. There was definitely some editing changes in the last couple episodes. I think mainly because of the fact that they are going to, I think, tie the next season, which is season 4, into the announced movie that they're going to do to wrap up the Mandoverse.
But I also think there are budget cuts that have been announced, which Tamora Morrison covers in a quote I'll share in a moment. I think there were some last minute changes. It doesn't make sense to me that the finale was only 38 minutes long. The second to last episode is called The Spies. The last episode is called The Return. And I just feel like there was like 20 minutes worth of stuff cut out. Due to changes, whether they cut a certain show and they need to shuffle stuff around, they move stuff. Who knows what it is? Over time, I guess we'll figure it out. But I definitely feel like something got cut.
Yeah.
Which felt, and also where's the end credit scene? Like they also cover it here. Like they point out. Let me share this screen really quick here. I wish there was a faster way to share screens. There we go. This says, what the Mandalorian Season 3 finale after credit scene or lack thereof means for Star Wars. And it just gets into, it's talking about how there's budget cuts at Lucasfilm and like all across the board, all these different streaming services, there's a lot of budget cuts coming to a lot of networks and everything else. So it makes me wonder if that ties into, because they always had an end credit scene for the finale of all their other episodes, not counting animated.
Right. Well, and that's the whole thing. I mean, I was expecting a credit scene. I didn't see one. They kind of got right to the heart of let's just attacking the base and getting to the base and everything else. So I mean, it's. They already showed the Mythosaur. We get to see the Mythosaur again in this last episode, but this time it's Grogu talking to it through the Force. But we don't know what's actually said or done. It's just Grogu senses the creature. So I mean, there's talk on different things like Collider, talking about would we see Grogu riding the Mythosaur into battle,
Right.
things like that. So is that going to come? I mean, the return itself, you kind of say, okay, the return was the Mandalorians actually returned and took back Mandalore.
Mandalore. Yeah.
You could
But
say
with
that.
all the teasing of Thrawn, I feel like it was supposed to be Thrawn. I
And
feel like there was supposed to be some battle up in space that they cut.
I thought maybe it was Thrawn, or I think Thrawn was going to be I thought Thrawn would be in the end in the credit sequence.
Mm-hmm.
My thought was originally was like, are we going to see Sabine? Sabine is Mandalorian.
Mm-hmm.
Is she going to come back in and show up with Ahsoka and whatever? Maybe the Ghost. Would have been a cool little tie-in with Hera, and then bring them in because we're supposed to see a lot of them in the Ahsoka series, and that would have been a nice little tie-in to Ahsoka.
Well, and also this show was missing the most famous Mandalorian of all, Boba Fett. Now, Tamora Morrison said he was actually supposed to be in season 3, but no one called him. And this is his actual quote: "I was supposed to be in the Mandalorian season 3, but nobody rang me. I was waiting for the phone call in New Zealand, waiting and wanting to give up.
Mm-hmm.
Then he says, well, that Mando guy stole a few chapters of my book, talk about how really the second half of his series became the Mandalorian season 2.5. Well, that guy stole a few chapters of my book. It was painful watching him turn up with some black new lethal sword, and the way he turned up in my book of Boba, he just destroyed everybody. I'm sure this guy is ruining my show, but I can't say anything. I'm not the writer, so I have to bear it, I guess." Then he goes on. I think there's a few changes going on. We are under the big umbrella known as Disney, and it's one of the last few conversations we had in LA. The conversation was, oh, we're having a few changes, we're having cutbacks. And when you hear that on the other end line, it's no good trying to negotiate any more money. That's for sure. So we'll see what happens. Mm-hmm. So he's talking about the budget cuts that are coming, and he's saying according to his original talks, he was supposed to be in this, and he got cut out.
Yeah. A lot of these budget cuts, though, that talk would have taken place prior to Iger coming back. And that would have been the previous guy.
But for him, his understanding was to the point where as they're filming, he's waiting for a phone call. Like, okay, they're going to call me any day now. And no phone call came. So for him, he was cut without him knowing, it sounds like.
Well, and that happens a lot in Hollywood, regardless. I mean, it's nothing.
But how do you have a Mandalorian series without the most famous Mandalorian?
Well, they'd already created a new Mandalorian, so it didn't matter. He wasn't in the first season. Everybody cheered. Well,
that's where I think that's what his point is he feels like this new guy is ruining his guy.
Well, and things like that. I think some of the initial cuts were started with Bob Chapek, who is no longer a Disney chairman. It's not Bob Iger. Yeah. Iger's coming in. He's definitely cutting more stuff. I mean, they've announced the cancellation of the National Treasure series, which again I thought was very uneven. And the way they went, I like the idea of what they were going after with the treasure. It's just the execution, which is what unfortunately a lot of these shows on these series are. They can just say, well, this person is female, so now they know everything, and we're not going to give any backstory on why they're a computer hacker, though they initially dress up and look like a party girl in the first episode, but they can hack everything and have no problem. And halfway through the series, I still don't understand why you have to drive to a middle of nowhere old hotel, trying to find an old TV, which wouldn't work anyways, to find an old antenna to plug into your new laptop and tablet to connect to an old radar system. You could have made that with tinfoil if you really were a hacker.
Well, I think it goes back to too. They're not caring about accuracy of stuff. It's just about, just like with She-Hulk. It's we're going to make this a legal based drama, but we're going to have no writers on staff who understands the legal system.
Well, it's even Wonder Woman. I talked to Dan Mishkin one time a few years ago, and he goes, they if they're going to call a movie Wonder Woman 1984, they really should talk to the guy that wrote Wonder Woman in 1984. And that was the end of that conversation. So, and it made sense because I'm like, he wrote great Wonder Woman stories in the 80s. So, but we're not going to talk to him. They were going to put it in that time period, but
they were just trying to cash in on nostalgia and Somebody really wanted to use that one song that everybody uses for 80s flashbacks.
Yeah. Now, of course, the Collider here is talking about the ending for the Mandalorian this season. Talking about, Moff Gideon gets defeated. We see that Moff Gideon
yeah.
had a cloning facility. Of course, the rumors now is, did Moff Gideon really get destroyed, or was that a clone? And
So
is he somewhere else? So
I read one thing, and I think they're accurate.
Mhm.
They gave a tip on how to tell if he was a clone or not.
okay,
In all the other seasons, the real Moff Gideon has a mustache. That one did not, and none of the clones had mustaches. So they think the fact that he didn't have the mustache was indicative that it was a clone.
oh okay,
Just a thought.
Who
knows?
That's not a bad little way to look at it.
I forgot. I had to go back and look. I'm like, oh yeah, he did have a mustache in all the other ones. It's a small. It's not like a big full, big one, but he does have a mustache in all the other seasons. So who knows? Could have been just by coincidence they forgot he had a mustache. That happens too. It's like, oh, a year went by. Well, this is like 2 years later. So
right.
You could easily say like, oh, he just shaved. You can do that. But a lot of times they'll try to use little visual clues like that to indicate something.
And I will say Favreau has been really good about those little bitty clues.
Yeah.
Let's go look at some images here. But yeah, it's I was trying to see if I can see something from there it is. Yeah, he's got the mustache there. And let me see here. It's slow loading. But I don't know. There's a couple of shots here. It looks like he still has the mustache though. Maybe it's just the way it blends in.
So here's Moff Gideon. Here, I'll put the season 2.
Oh, there it is. Yep. No, he doesn't have it. Yep. I found the shot from there. He doesn't have it, but they show him earlier. It looked like he had it. So
in season 3, he has it?
No. The shot here, I see. I finally found a good shot, and it shows one of his Mandalorian armored troopers behind him, and he does not have the mustache.
Right. Here he is in season 2 up on the screen here. And you can definitely see he has a small mustache going.
Right.
And season 1, he also had that.
Yeah.
This baby has a great mustache going. Let's see. Here's season 1. Hard to see, but he does have it. It's very light to see, but he does have it there.
Well, I was curious of in other episodes if he has it, because I'm thinking that he did.
Maybe in certain scenes he has it, in certain scenes he doesn't. So you can tell which one is him versus a clone too, maybe.
Right.
Maybe the hologram where he's yelling at that girl.
Because here's this one here. You can see it there. I believe it says season 3, and it looks like he's wearing more of that armor and that. So
put that up on the screen.
Yeah.
There it is. Okay, so is that season 3?
They said that's season 3.
Yeah, he didn't have that armor. Okay, so I think that's a clue then.
Yeah.
Because in the final scene, he does not have a mustache.
Right.
So I think that's an important clue they threw in there.
Yeah, because then you go to another shot of him, and he doesn't have it.
Which is interesting because I didn't notice at the time, but in the final battle, I remember thinking, God, he looks so much like Gus when he played Gus in Breaking Bad. And I mentally didn't know the reason why, but it's the lack of the mustache.
Yep, there it is.
He's Gus there. So I think that's it right there. He's the clone. The other one giving the orders was the real one.
Right. So Moff Gideon is, still not around. Yeah, because you see, from a lot of stuff from that is
there's no reason why they would shave the mustache off for the final scene, but have it in all the other scenes.
Right.
I think we just unlocked it. Boom, Favreau. Take that. Odd Musings.
Yeah.
Figured you out with the help of other people on the internet.
Yeah. and that's the whole thing. It's the these little tidbits here. And that's the thing is, it's even with cutbacks and changes and stuff like that. I think it's, I think part of it is, okay, we're going to give you guys this Mandalorian movie now. They're going to go, and that's been confirmed. The Kathleen Kennedy stuff more and more is being shown to be her spouting what she wants, because there's
Have
actually
we talked about that?
no, not since last week. But it's like we talked to the other day, and there's no treatment, no script, no anything for these new Rey movies. But she's already announced they're going to be made.
Yeah, usually at this point, when you're announcing the actor, you at least have some type of screen written story or script, even if it's an initial level. They have zero written.
Yeah.
So it's very suspicious, especially with her on her way out, with everything going on. It's very suspicious to be announcing this. So I think it leads credence to the story that this was all a hoax, or maybe not a hoax so much as a final grasp at something by Kennedy.
Yeah.
I really hope she's leaving. Have we ever had confirmation that this was just
God, I thought we've seen stuff.
I just can't remember if it was like rumor that she was brought. I thought it was real, but I don't know. She's still around. I thought she was going to be gone like 2 years ago. Can she just go? Who wants her really? Other than the people who are faux Star Wars fans who only like the stuff that destroys Star Wars.
Well, and that's the whole thing. There's been talk of her retiring, and here it goes. December from the direct.com, December 15th. They said that she signed a severance deal with Lucasfilms. She'll be allowed to quietly remain the head of Lucasfilm for a few more months. And this is a rumor, of course, according to the new rumor. And then and she had her severance package, and then she would
when was that
give her the direct.com.
No, but what date?
December 15th of 2022.
Okay, so we're only 4 or 5 months into this.
Yeah, and it said here that she was going to quietly remain the head of Lucasfilm for a few more months, but that her retirement will be announced after the Indiana Jones film was released.
Okay, so that's coming up soon.
And that kind of leads to what was we saw the other that was supposed to happen with the celebration. Lucasfilm and they were supposed to. She was supposed to go on stage, and it was supposed to be like basically almost a thank you of all the years and all the great movies, and it was supposed to culminate with the trailer for the new Indiana Jones, which is supposed to be her swan song, the last one. Yeah, she's kind of over on that. Her name will still appear on stuff down the road, even if she's not, because she's got. It's how producer credits work. You still get credited at different times if you're not actually involved. And so, and this was, of course, falls under some of the rumor stuff, and there's no actual true fact until you see it done. But I think makes sense.
The key word is quietly. She needs to shut up.
Well, and that's the whole thing. And then, John Campea claimed back in November that she was leaving, and then.
But wasn't there a story even like 2 years ago that she had signed a 2-year? I thought there was a 2-year interim contract.
At the time, it said here from Collider from November 2021, extension will have Kennedy running Lucasfilm until 2024. So that would have been this year.
Okay.
And then it was going to be, with this new one, it sounded like they're okay. We're going to kind of just basically severance and buy you out for the rest of the year, and they're going to give her like $30 million. I mean, she's going to make money on the back end.
Okay, so the temporary contract would take her into 2024. The new contract is kind of paying her off, saying leave after Indiana Jones. Here's the payout, and we'll just kind of let you quietly go into the sunset.
Right.
All right. Well, Indiana Jones, we need to hurry up and get here.
Well, and it's the whole thing, Let me see here. When's this?
Speaking of Indiana Jones, they did confirm this is Harrison Ford's final time, but I feel like 2 movies ago was his final time officially.
Well, I think originally he wanted the last one to be his final time, the Crystal Skulls,
but it was so bad.
Yeah, it was horrible. And the problem was they brought in what's his name to play Shia LaBeouf to play his like illegitimate son, and
which made no sense. Like none of that fit. But I think they thought it was going to be good enough that Shia LaBeouf would take on the future movies. Which I don't know why they would think that, but
at the moment when he was doing this stuff, he was kind of the hot ticket for a minute after Transformers and all that stuff. And
but he was never like the the adventuring action hero type. He was the bumbling comedic.
That doesn't mean anything in
Yeah.
Hollywood. You know that.
Right.
He was the hot ticket for a minute.
Yeah.
And he did Transformers, and he kind of showed he could actually run or whatever. But going forward, I think it was
Yeah.
just, he showed that he can act in different things. I think he's better in stuff that's not, big franchise things like that
Yeah.
anymore. I liked him in things like, what was it, Fury? He was good in that. When he does ensemble cast stuff, he's good.
Yeah.
He's definitely he was good in that Peanut Butter Falcon. He was actually really good in that.
He's a good actor.
Yeah.
Without a doubt, but he does come with baggage.
There's things he should do versus other stuff, and he's definitely kind of gone wackadoo a little bit. So
yeah, I don't know if he's done going wacky or not. I don't know. Yeah. But as far as a lead for Indiana Jones, I really can't think of anyone better than Chris Pratt personally. I don't think it'll happen. But if you're going to do a continuation where you just want to keep telling the same tales, if you want to go, knowing Hollywood though, they'll probably cast Pedro Pascal as Indiana Jones to move forward just because he's the hot ticket right now.
Yeah.
The Dial of Destiny, you're going to see Harrison Ford turn this dial and he's going to transform into Pedro Pascal. And then there will be some child that needs escorting to the Fountain of Youth.
Here's what's funny about this whole Kathleen Kennedy, and we probably end the show. There's a video of her talking to somebody at Celebration talking about the 3 new films. So she's going to do 3 films are pretty far along in development, is how she put it.
Right.
But this was done on April 9th, and then 21 hours ago on Entertainment Tonight, they're saying that she announced 3 new Star Wars films. This is from it looks like done from Celebration too. So it's from Celebration. So the 3 new Star Wars. So it's basically none of this is, I think, is
so that's proof she was lying there, that they were pretty far along when there's 0 story written or script written. Nothing's written.
Yeah.
At all.
And it's like since then, all the thing we're seeing is just regurgitating what she said at Celebration, the videos from that, which I know it's only been a couple weeks, but you'd think there'd be like you'd see more movement. There's like no movement on casting or planning or prep. So I think it's definitely she's wanting to she wants to prove that she was right and all us males were wrong.
And I think she's trying desperately to hold on to her legacy, which is the sequel movies. I'm still holding on to hope that I do believe that there is a love for Daisy Ridley and the character.
Yes.
And I do believe there will be a way for Filoni, because what I think the task before Filoni is this. It's not so much to do away with the sequels as it is to fix Luke Skywalker's legacy.
Yeah.
So they have to come up with a solution, and we have it. We've talked about it. It's a very easy solution. Yeah. Where you can change the timeline so that you can fix Luke, give him a proper send-off while maintaining keep the Daisy Ridley character alive moving forward. And you can do a slight, what they call it, retcon. You can do a retcon of the sequels through a slight time change and still have the characters present for the future. You can do that. And then you don't have to reshoot the sequels. They can exist as is, but you can kind of do a steer around so you have a fixed future for whatever movies you do going forward. It would work. I think it would work. It would please the hardcore fans like us. It would please the people who love the Daisy Ridley. The only people you're going to get mad are the people who don't want to pay for your movie anyways and don't buy the toys and they just want to see Star Wars destroyed. So who cares?
Yeah. And that's the whole thing. And Variety's got an article about it that came out on April 10th. Of course, taking all just from that information there. It's supposed to take place 15 years after the last movie, whatever. But
I got a solution.
Yeah.
Dave Filoni, I'm talking to you. Big solution. Nobody cares about Rose. Rose sucks, but everyone loved Paige, and she only got like 15 seconds of time. With the time correction, you could keep Paige alive and bring her back. Yeah. There you go. That's your strong female character that everyone would love is Paige. Yep. Most people don't even know who Paige is. They're going, who's Paige? I don't remember a Paige. She was like 15 seconds of the opening of episode 8.
Yeah. She was
Bring her back.
She was a bomber pilot. She was leading the bomber.
And have Rose die in the crash. Kill Rose. Keep Paige. Have them
There you
do a
go.
swap.
So we'll see the Veil of the Force. Han come through, grab Paige, pull her out. Another hand comes through, throws Rose in. She doesn't know what's going on. Going
Little hand
"Ah!"
shove of Rose. Push her in the way.
Yeah, and of course people are gonna look at us and go, "Well, you just hate that actress." Nope, don't give a crap about her either way.
No, the
She did-
actress was fine.
she did
it was the
fine.
character.
It's
The-
the character. And so we've talked about this many times too. How can you take you character in the basement of the ship? Nobody also becomes a hero, which you can classify, but she's only a hero because Finn is regurgitated back to
Right.
being afraid of everything and wanting to run away. And he's trying to escape, and she's like, "I'm going to stop you, and I'm going to turn you in because you're a traitor." No,
Yeah.
you would have still gone.
Yeah.
"Oh, well, yeah, I just work in the basement."
Yeah.
So.
So anyways,
Yeah.
that's my fix. I think it's still on track. I don't think it's going to be a full removal of the sequels. I think there will be some type of fix so they can bring Luke back and give him the proper ending he deserves while keeping Daisy Ridley. And I think her coming back for that. I don't know if she was a pawn or a willing participant. I don't know. But I do think there is a love for Daisy Ridley and Rey.
I liked Rey.
I did
think
too.
The biggest problem with those movies was not Rey. It was how they dealt with Luke Skywalker. If they'd have gave if episode 8 had been a proper episode 8 of like Empire of him training her.
Yeah.
And then you'd have the fleet dealing with the First Order in a better way instead of an 18-hour slow chase through space where two of the characters get to go all the way to a gambling world and come back in that time. It made no sense.
Yeah, the story made no sense. It was a stupid story. And so anyways, that's my little pitch to Dave Filoni.
Yep.
I'll even give it to you for free. You can steal the idea. I won't even charge you for it.
There you go.
And there you have it. We are done with episode 304 of Musings.
So next week we don't have any Star Wars or a lot of really new series to talk about.
We do have Guardians comes out next week.
Yeah, and I won't see it until probably Tuesday, so it'll be 2 weeks. But we could talk about it a little bit after that Wednesday. So yeah, Guardians doesn't come out until a week from tomorrow, and so we'll talk about that. We'll see what else pops up if we want, entertainment wise talk about.
I'm hoping to check out. There's a couple good exorcism movies coming out. There's 5 exorcism movies, but I do want to see Pope's Exorcist and I want to see Nefarious. So I'm hoping to see one or both of those, but we'll see if time allows it.
Fantastic. Yeah, we can give a quick review of those next week, and then we'll talk about everything else. And I'm going to see Lion King on stage tonight, so I'll talk a little bit about that, how that went.
Cool.
And then other than that, we'll just kind of figure it out like we always do. So, hey, y'all have a good one. We'll see you next week.
Hakuna Matata.
Bye.